Well, it is Monday night. It is 5:45-ish. That can mean only one thing. It is our time together as families journeying through lockdown. If this is your first time with us, you are very welcome. If this is your third time with us, well, why do you keep coming back? No, I'm serious. I'm really glad you're here. In a moment, we're going to get to have a little look at some of the selfies that people sent in of them either doing their drawings or their little actions or waving their knives and forks in the air. I've not quite got any kind of clue as to what you guys are up to at the moment, and that's why it's wonderful. We have got to your right a comment section, and as far as I can tell, nobody's commented yet. So I'd love to know who I am talking to right now. YouTube tells me we've got about 10 people connected in. So could you type in as fast as you possibly can, if at all possible, that is. Don't choke on your food, easy tiger. Type in and tell me what family name, what church you go to, where you are from, and what you are having for tea. Can you remember all of that? What your name is, your family name, where you are from, what church you're part of, and what you are having for tea. I haven't had my tea yet. I'm hoping that it's going to come up soon, but we've got to get through all of this first. And we have some pictures from last week. Oh, by the way, I should say, in a moment, across the bottom, there's going to come a phone number for you to send a selfie or a picture or a small video, what you're up to, where you're sitting, what it all looks like whilst you're joining in with this time. So I think look, see, isn't that good? It's all popped up. Oh, I'm seeing some names already coming up on the chat. We've got the Langtons there. We've got the Bruce. Hot dogs. That's really got me going now. Okay, right, moving on. As you can see along the bottom, we've got the details. You can send a little selfie. Click, click. My daughters, it was their birthday last week. Hey, look at that one. We got the Brewsters there. Hot dogs cooked by Noah. Look at that smug look on his face. You lad, you've done a cracking job. Good on you. We've got the Wern family pot chicken. You see, some people have turned up for this, and you're very welcome nonetheless. You've turned up before having your tea, and right now you're wishing that you'd done it the other way around, aren't you? Well, you see, this is a great thing to join in with tea in front of you. We've got the Finney, and we've got Emma Finney there. They're all there in Hinckley. I thought it was the Finley family. I don't know whether I've got it wrong. Oglesby family, oh, you're back again. Roast dinner on a Monday night. What are you doing? Dining with the Queen? Look at you. This is lockdown. It's supposed to be pizza and chips. Oh, brilliant. Well, I'm glad you guys are with us. Let's see a couple more photos of people from the last week. Some of the selfies that got sent in. Who have we got there? Oh, I think, if I'm right, that's the Ransley family from Horton. I think it is. You guys not only have nice weather, you've got a sensible IT setup, and you're allowed to put your knees up at the table. I'm going to try and institute that in our family. You guys are really welcome. Hopefully you're back this week. I hope you're enjoying the stuff. And I should just point out to you, you need to make sure that you've printed off the worksheets. You'll need that in a minute. There's the Langton family. They're getting their break dancing on. I'm liking that. Who needs to go to aerobics? Who needs open gym when you can come and dance with us? This is good. Who else have we got there? Oh, hold on. I think that's the Finleys in Hinckley. I think. I'm hoping that one day before Glory we get to meet each other. That would be great. And I think there's a second photo of your family as well. Let's see whether it pops up. It might come up in just a moment. Oh, no, that's the Brewsters again. Are they shaking children or cushions? Oh, that was it. Yeah, I'm guessing Noah's probably taken a picture of mum and dad waving their. Do you know, I love it when mums and dads get involved. Good on you. If you're sitting there trying not to burp on your green peas, you can do more than that. Oh, brilliant. We've got more of the Finley family back. That's great. Okay. Oh, look at you got. I love that mug. Isn't that a Christmas mug? Oh, well, I suppose you've got to keep cheery in these strange times. Awesome. We've got the Crones on there. Crones, they're having, hold on, pasta and Tuscan sausage stew. Now, that's a nice mix. This is brilliant to have you guys with us. I'm so glad you are. So we need to press on at pace. Keep a hold of that phone number at the bottom because I might be getting you to do things. I need to show you this before we go any further. Can you see it? What is it? Can you see it? Some of you are like, oh no, why on earth has he got a bucket with him? Well, that will become clear in just a little while. But before I talk to you about the bucket, I need to point out the memory verse sheet. It's going to come up on the side of the screen now as if by the appliance of science and wonderful magic. Have you got a hold of it? Because what we've been doing is we've been trying to journey through lockdown in a way that trusts that the living God is going to be with us and growing us and working in us within our families, within our homes through this strange period. And to start off with, we said that, well, journeying through lockdown, we want to make sure we know the Lord and we want to keep him central and realize that every moment is a ministry moment with his eyes before us. Second week, we said we want to know our own hearts. And so often the hard things of the situation show what is going on inside of us. We respond out of what is going on in our heart. And we thought about different ways in which we could learn and grow in the midst of that, our root and our fruit, what's going on inside of us, and then the actions and the words that come out of our mouth. And this week, we're going to be talking about knowing each other better. Do you know that the Bible tells us to do that? The Bible tells us that you need to be a bit like a bucket. That's why I've got this here, okay? Turn to the person next to you and point at them in the face, get right up in there and say, be a bucket. Ready? Be a bucket. You don't have to be a green one. You could be an orange one. I don't really care what color it is. Here's the Bible verse, and this is what it says. A person's thoughts are like water in a deep well. Now, how do you get water out of a deep well? You need everybody say it? You need one of these. You need a bucket. But someone with insight can draw them out. In other words, the Lord has made it so that you and me can be known and are knowable. And that's where relationship sits. And our job is to move towards one another, to know each other well enough, to care what it's like on the inside. And sometimes it's hard because a deep well is hard to get water out unless you've got a bucket. So we're going to be thinking a little bit more about how we drop the bucket in one another's lives, learn how to draw out from one another good things, know what's going on in our heart, how we're facing things, what is our strengths, what we're finding hard, what perhaps is going wrong. We're going to learn together about knowing one another well. And the reason that we get to do that is because that's what God is like. You know, he's somebody who says, pour your heart out to me. He is somebody who invites us to know him at a deep level and invites us to let ourselves be known by him. There's a wonderful Bible verse. It's found in Psalm 62 and verse 8. And I couldn't find any music to go along with it. But I tell you, by the time you've gone through this little video clip, you're going to know it off by heart. And I might just test you. Are you ready for it? Keep your eyes on this.
After rainbow. Back to work! Let's repeat God's word 10 times a day together. Today's memory verse is Psalm 62:8. Trust in him at all times, you people. Pour out your heart before him. God is a refuge for us. Trust in him at all times, you people. Pour out your heart before him. God is a refuge for us. Trust in him at all times, you people. Pour out your heart before him. God is a refuge for us. Trust in him at all times, you people. Pour out your heart before him. God is a refuge for us. Trust in him at all times, you people. Pour out your heart before him. God is a refuge for us. Trust in him at all times, you people. Pour out your heart before him. God is a refuge for us. Trust in him at all times, you people. Pour out your heart before him. God is a refuge for us. Trust in him at all times, you people. Pour out your heart before him. God is a refuge for us. Trust in him at all times, you people. Pour out your heart before him. God is a refuge for us. Trust in him at all times, you people. Pour out your heart before him. God is a refuge for us. Good job. We hope to see you.
Did you get the message? Did you get the message? If there's anybody listening who hasn't quite picked up on Psalm 62 verse 8 10 times, you're going to nail it. Tell me what the Lord is like. He is like a refuge. What do? We trust in him and pour our hearts out. Listen, can I tell you this? Everybody listen, make sure you got your ears pricked up and your mouth zipped up and you've just put it, well, yeah, the true family, they're eating the pasta. If you're halfway through a spoonful, pause on this one, okay? You need to realize that it is impossible to have a deep relationship with somebody, a deep connection with them, who you don't know and aren't vulnerable with. We have to invest in moving towards one another. We have to drop the bucket. And some of you said, what's it mean to drop the bucket down the well and put? How do I do that? How do I do that with my little brother and my older sister and my mum and my dad and my kids? I'll tell you. What you do is you say, how are you doing today? And what's the usual answer? I know what some of you are thinking. Some of you are just going to get fine. So we do it in church sometimes, don't we? Oh, how are you? Fine. How are you? Sometimes I go to my children or maybe even my wife and I say, hi, how are you doing? I'm dropping the bucket. I'm trying to start a conversation to find out how they're doing, to know them, to join them in their experience, to have relationship. And all I get is, oh. In fact, I wanted to prove this to you because sometimes it's not always the best. Sometimes we pick the wrong times to do it. Sometimes somebody just doesn't want us to know. Sometimes maybe when I try to find out how somebody's doing, they're having a really hard time and it's just not the right moment. Sometimes they're just scared of being known by somebody else. Sometimes they flat out can't be bothered. So what I've done is I went round today, and I think you'll like this, with my video camera, and I tried it with some people. Now, it's a bit weird pointing a video camera at somebody on your phone, but they're so used to having phones around in our house, it doesn't matter anyway. So I've shown you a few. I've got a few clips, and what I'd like you to do, if possible, is watch very closely and find out what went right or what went wrong. And I'm going to give you some multiple choice questions afterwards, and you can tell me how it went. Let's have a look at video clip number 1. Jane?
Yeah.
Jane?
Yeah.
How you doing? Just want to check in, see how you're doing. What's going on?
Can I just leave me alone? I'm working at the moment. I'm really busy right now.
Oh, are you sure? I just wanted to make sure you're okay. Are you all right?
Yeah, but I'm working.
Okay. How did that one go? What do you think? Has anybody had that kind of experience? It's sometimes hard moving towards somebody, but sometimes when we try to drop the bucket, make a connection, find out how they're doing, know them at a deeper level. Well, let me ask you, what went wrong there? Was it A, that she couldn't be bothered? Was it B, that I said something silly? Or was it C, I picked the wrong moment? What do you think? Have a little word between you, shout it out. Which one was it? I'm guessing you probably said the right thing. I picked the wrong moment when she was really busy, and it's okay to want to find out how she's getting on. But in that moment, maybe I should have just said, can I check in with you as soon as you've got a few spare moments? I don't know. Maybe you'd have run it a little bit differently. Let's have a look at the next video when I tried this one. See what you think. Poppy, how's your day going today? How are you, darling?
Not very good.
Why not?
It's the land of poop. It's the land of poop.
Some of the parents going, it's just like that in my house. Maybe you didn't expect that answer, but you're trying to find out what's going on, and they're up to their eyeballs in something or other. I didn't really get much out of them, but their faces were saying a lot. So I decided not to push it on that one. I've got no multiples on that one, no multiple choices. You can decide for yourself what went wrong there, and it was probably something to do with rabbits in a cage. Awesome, let's try the next video. This one is a little bit more obvious. Decide what was hard in this moment and maybe how it could have gone better. Hiya, Becky. How you doing? What's been good about your day?
I don't know.
Okay. Do you want to talk to me about it?
No.
Okay. I'll leave it then.
Okay.
What do you think happened there with Becky? Was it that I picked the wrong moment? Was it that she couldn't be bothered? Was it that she just didn't really know? You know, sometimes when we move towards people and move towards them we should, you can feel like you're being put on the spot. You could tell by the look on her face. She wasn't super happy and she felt a bit put on the spot. Maybe what I needed to do was just say, can we have a little chat about how you're doing a bit later on? Maybe that would have gone a bit better. Okay, let's have a look at the next video and see what you think. Hi Emily, just thought I'd come and see how your day's been so far today.
Yes, fine.
Cool, anything interesting been going on? No. You doing okay though?
Yeah.
Those cards look fun, what are they? Wow, do you like biology? Wow, cool. You know the aliens landed today?
Cool.
Brilliant. Okay, I'll go do something else then. Some of you parents are saying, welcome to my life. I know. I'm really glad, Emma, that you like the land of poop. That sometimes feels like it all the time, doesn't it? Did you spot what happened in that one? I think really I was trying to move towards Emily and, well, you spotted. You've been on the experience here. When you make a bit of effort to drop the bucket into somebody's life, to draw them out, to show that they're meaningful and important to you, what did you get? Shut us up. Go away. I can't be bothered. I wonder whether there's anybody looking at you around your table or on your sofa who's ever experienced that happening. Anybody ever done it? Quickly put your hand up a little bit. You see, the living God made us for relationship. And if somebody moves towards us, just like Christ did, the Lord Jesus leaving the glories of heaven, coming to earth to save a lost people, and half the time people are like, whatever. No. There's something wrong in us that so often we resist when people try to show us love. And what we want to do is be those people who are really welcoming of others taking time for us. Sometimes we don't know what to say, but what we can do is we can welcome them and say, thank you for asking. Now, maybe in a moment when we speak with Jane in a second, we'll find a few new things to ask that helps people. But for the moment, what we find is how we respond to other people talking to us reveals something of our own hearts. Now, I've had a request for this particular week that we get to sing the song that we sang last week. Do you remember the one about the heart, the root and the fruit? What's going on the inside will come out in what we say and what we do. You guys seem to like that one so much that you asked me to play it again, and it fits with what we're looking at. So let's have a look at that Bible verse song, and somebody's going to join me on this video in just a moment once we have sung it. Over to the song to sing.
Apples don't grow on pear trees. Apples don't grow on pear trees. Apples don't grow on pear trees. No apples there, it only grows pears. Bananas don't grow on plum trees. Bananas don't grow on plum trees. Bananas don't grow on plum trees. No nanas come, they only grow plums. Your heart is where the words of your mouth grow. Your mouth is where the thoughts of your heart go. Jesus, change our hearts to bear good fruit.
Suppose I glue an apple on a pear tree.
No.
Suppose I tape an orange on an oak tree.
No.
Suppose I staple some cherries on a maple.
No. Your heart is where the words of your mouth grow. Your mouth is where the thoughts of your heart go. Jesus, change our hearts to bear good fruit. Apples don't grow on pear trees. Apples don't grow on pear trees. Apples don't grow on pear trees. No apples there, it only grows pears. Your heart is where the words of your mouth grow.
doubled up. And I'd like to give a big shout out to the Brewsters for loving the fruity song there. I'm guessing, I don't know whether you were dancing along, giving it loads of this, waving your cushion. Noah, you have my permission to get that recorded. Okay, now I have been joined with my lovely lady wife. Mwah. And she loves coming on these kind of things. She really does like it. So if you're back there, please would you give her a little golf clap? Thank you. Little golf clap for Jane coming on here. Now, we're going to speak to Jane in just a second, but there's one more that I need to show you that we did today. This was a genuine surprise, and I want you to see how conversations sometimes can go. Sometimes when you drop the bucket with somebody and just say, how are you doing? You can join people in their experience and meet them where they're at in a way that the living God meets us. And you can hear somebody's heart, you can encourage them, and you can pray for them. And of all the people it was with one of my daughters. Should we see the video? Here you go. How's your day today?
It's not great, actually. I had a project I was supposed to have done for a biblical counselling course that I thought was due in 2 weeks, and it's due tomorrow.
Brilliant. Okay, how are you feeling about that?
A little bit stressed.
Anything I can do to help?
Do it for me.
Don't what, sorry?
Do it for me.
Do it for you. Okay, give me a tenner.
Mark it afterwards.
Okay.
That'll be
So if anybody's any good at writing essays, I am thinking that Bethany would love your help right about now. But what was the point of that? Just making a connection with somebody, entering into their world in the same way that the living God enters into ours to know us, because he loves us. That's what happens. So I've got Jane here, and she's got 6 daughters, plenty friends. She's got her own stuff going on. What do you find hardest about trying to use all these, drop the bucket, go into somebody's world, know them well? What do you find hard about that? Give me just one example.
I think it's probably difficult to sort of know what they're facing and kind of make assumptions about what it feels like to be them based on what it feels like to be you at that moment. So if I'm feeling stressed, I might assume that they're stressed, or if I'm really happy, I might assume that they're being happy, or whatever. Brilliant.
Does it always go really well for you when you try to do relationship, know them well, drop the bucket?
No, definitely not always.
Okay. How often in the day would you hope for a really good conversation?
Well, from a family of 8, maybe once a day.
Okay, brilliant. I think she's pretty optimistic on this one. Okay, awesome. So listen, let me ask you just one more question. Okay, when you move towards somebody to see how they're doing, to ask, and the temptation is for them just to say, oh, fine, and it just stay at that level rather than go a bit deeper. What sort of things do you want to be listening out for in what they say? What do you listen out for so that you can go just a little bit deeper in knowing somebody and being there for them?
Well, 3 things really. So probably the first one is look for what's good, what's going on. So I might be listening out for signs that they're trying really hard, or signs that the Lord's doing something in them, signs that they're growing. So that first. Then whatever they're facing that's coming at them that's hard. So whether if it's circumstances or illness or whatever they're struggling with, really, just so you know what it feels like to be them. And then thirdly, the way that they're responding to those things, probably in the not best way possible, and then sort of trying to figure out a best way to sort of help them through that.
Brilliant. Okay. So your kids will probably be watching this back at home and going, oh, so that's why she nags us to talk. But can you give us just maybe one quick example? I didn't prepare you for this. Give me a quick example of a time when it's been worth hanging in there with somebody to try and move towards them because you've got a sense of knowing them better and they felt more helped and encouraged.
It's not a very recent example, but the first one that springs to mind is with my daughter Emily, who's been having a hard time at school recently. And so there have been times when I've had conversations with her when she's come home from school, and I could sort of like assume in my mind that she's having a hard time because this might be happening, because that might be happening. But until you actually stop and slow down and find out and sort of ask her what's really hard for you in that, so she's not just telling you about the circumstance that happened, but she's telling me about what it really feels like, and that's when I can really understand her a little bit better.
Brilliant. Thank you ever so much for coming on. I'm definitely going with Emma. Hi, Jane. Thanks for joining us. Good on you. You can run away and go and speak to somebody really nice while I just come back on, because it's discussion time for the family now. Okay. We've talked about how we drop the bucket. We've talked about how we want to have an atmosphere that welcomes people talking to us, even when sometimes we just want to go, fine. Other times we just want to, I don't know. Other times we're like, get lost. Now, we want to appreciate when people move towards us, we're going to respond. And we also want to be the people who move towards. Kids, when was the last time you said to your poor mum or dad, how are you today? What's it really like being you today? What's good? What's bad? Tell me about that, mum and dad, because I care about you. Now, you guys have got 3 minutes now just to talk about that for a little bit. I'd love to be listening in. I'd love to be the fly on the wall. I'm guessing some of you might go a bit quiet and rush to go and get pudding. What do you find hardest about trying to drop the bucket? And I think we've got a second question to that. A second part of it, which is along the lines of, what have you picked up and heard from today that you can begin to put into practice through this coming week as a family? Okay, I think a counter's going to come up. 3 minutes starting now. Go to it, families. How did you get on with that? Hopefully you did okay. Yes, you're right. Jane did get to call me a bucket. And she's called me a lot worse over the year. Anyway, we'll move on really quickly. So what have we been focused on here, folks? And this is so important, isn't it? A person's thoughts are like deep water in a well, but someone with insight can draw them out. We want to draw people out. People in our family, people we share a home with, the people that we know in our churches, the people who live beyond, who you rub shoulders with, each one is made in the image of God, precious in his sight and worth knowing. And the Lord puts us in these ministry moments where we can say, how are you? What's going on? What's that like for you? How's your heart doing? What could I pray for you? Tell me what it's like to be you going through what you're going through. What are you looking forward to in all of this? Know a person at an increasingly deeper level. So kids, what I want you to do this week is I want you to get a bucket. Can you do that? I want you to get a bucket, go to the garden shed, go and raid Dad's loft, make sure there's nothing else in it, make sure it's empty at the time. And what I'd like you to do is get your bucket this week and take your bucket and take it to Mum and Dad at some point, probably when they're least expecting it. Take the bucket and say, how are you doing? What's it like for you at the moment? Help me to know what's going on in your head and your heart. Can you do that? And here's the second bit that I want you to do with it. And this is what I'd like to send in. I'm sure Tony will lovingly put up that number along the bottom again to remind you. Would you send us a picture of that? I would love to see a whole stack of kids approaching their parents with buckets. Look at them. The lanterns have done it already. I'm loving that. Harvey, Levi, they've got their buckets on the go. Now, that's what I'm talking about, people. That blesses my heart. Audience participation. Get your buckets, get a picture, but say it because you mean it. Take care. Move towards somebody. Enter their world. Because that's what the living God did for us. It gives him glory. It gives us a greater sense of connection. We learn. We can be praying. So as we journey through lockdown, that's what we're doing. Would you bow your heads right now with me? Because I'm going to pray for you as we do that. Heavenly Father, we thank you that you've given us a heart like you have, to be deeply connected, to be in fellowship, to know, to dwell with others, and to know them at a deep level. And we realize that only you know the human heart, but you've invited us to know people in our little circle, our little bubble, in our little family really well, to care for their soul and their heart. Help us to move towards them, to drop the bucket. Help us when somebody comes and asks us not to be lazy, not to make excuses, not to be scared, but to be honest about what's going on with us. Help us to do that so we can be closer connected, so we can reflect you, so we can pray for one another. I thank you for every family listening in and everybody who will listen back later to this broadcast. Would you have your hand of blessing upon them and be gracious to them as they journey through lockdown, that they may know each other well. For we ask in Jesus' good name. Amen. So you ready for that? When you've finished, if you're not choking on your pudding, if you've finished, go and get that bucket at the ready. Go and start a conversation and get a picture of it and send it to me. So we're going to play out as we always do with a worship song, because the whole focus of this is that we may worship the Lord right from deep inside. This song, I love it. It's called Trust in Him. Over to you guys. You're dismissed. You're great. One last one next week. See you then.
Trust in chariots and some in horses. Some trust in chariots and some in horses, yeah. Some trust in chariots and some in horses. Some trust in chariots and some in horses, yeah. All right, here we go. Trust in the name of the Lord our God. We trust in the name of the Lord our God. We trust in the name of the Lord our God. Yeah. We trust in the name of the Lord our God. We trust in the name of the Lord our God. We trust in the name of the Lord our God. Yeah. Some trust in chariots, some in horses, some trust in chariots, and some in horses, yeah, that's right. Some trust in chariots, and some some in horses. Some trust in chariots and some in horses, yeah. Here we go! We trust in the name of the Lord our God. We trust in the name of the Lord our God. We trust in the name of the Lord our God, yeah. We trust in the name of the Lord our God. We trust in the name of the Lord our God. We trust in the name of the Lord our God, yeah. We trust in the name of the Lord our God. Oh yeah, yeah. We trust, that's right, in the name of the Lord our God. Oh yeah. Hey. Alright, so I was talking to my son Brandon about this verse, and we decided we don't know a lot of people that roll around on chariots. So he said, wait, what does this verse look like today? Here's what we came up with. Some trust in money, and some in fame. Some trust in money, and some in fame, oh yeah. Some trust in money, and some in